Good morning.
It is.
How can I know that I am an eternal being?
Well, we would like to ask you to use your logic, but your perspective sometimes doesn't allow that. The only way that we know for you to really come to know that before you have what you call your death experience, or we call your croaking experience, is by trying to accept the existence of that eternal part of you and do your best to form a conscious relationship with that part of you. Because as you reach for alignment with that and find it and feel it, or consciously reach for it and don't find it and feel it, it's that relationship with that alignment that will eventually give you the confidence to unequivocally express that you know for sure, that you know for sure. Sometimes, if there's someone you know who has made their transition and your desire is keen enough for interaction, that can help. In other words, when you get it, that there is no separation other than the one that you assign, and you learn to release the thoughts that have been inhibiting it or preventing it, and find more of the thoughts that allow it, then you can have more and more concrete experiences that become impossible to ignore, impossible to deny. Too much information coming, too many different signs, too much interaction, too much clarity, too much joy, too much love, too much happening to continue to support the idea of separation in death. Too much going on that defies your logic that you've picked up along your physical trail, that this is all there is. For Esther, for years as she's been receiving, in the beginning and beyond, receiving Abraham, she knew that she was receiving something. It was hard to define what it was, but she knew how it felt. And over time, she's had enough experience and exposure to really understand. Now with Jerry making his reemergence into non-physical, it's put a whole different spin on all of that, because now she's having all kinds of experiences that are undeniable to her. She knows for sure, moment after moment after moment, not only that he is eternal, but that he is aware of her, wanting to play with her in a moment, giving her insight, giving her clarity, giving her stability. Where were you in the parking lot the other day, she is asking. And his answer is wanting you to have this glorious, expansive experience. In other words, nothing went wrong there. Didn't hit anything that matters, he says. Didn't hit anything that matters. You see what we're getting at? So the first thing that happens is you have to care about it. You have to want it. You have to want to know it. And the next thing that happens is life experience will just give you knowledge about it. You can't ever come to know something that you haven't decided that you want to know. So we like it when you say, how can I come to know that? We want to say, and we don't want to be flippant about it. We don't mean it that way at all. But how can you not know it? How can you not know when in every moment that you live, in every moment, there is that source perspective, which includes all those who know you and all those who know of you and all that you are non-physically, right there in the moment, inspiring you, guiding you, uplifting you, supporting you, being with you. And it is so powerful, and it is really such an interesting thing to watch the majority of people refusing to acknowledge that, and therefore pinching themselves off from the very thing that they said they would do when they came forth. You all said, I'll go forth, I'll mix it up, I'll find new things to want, and all of you will come and play with me in the evolution and the expansion and the celebration of this expansion. That's really the way that it is, you see. Humans have carved out this really odd belief that they are separate from non-physical, if it even exists. Some believe that it does, some don't believe that it does. So there's a separation from it, and then they assign themselves the responsibility of figuring out whatever they think that thinks that they should live, and try to define their lives by something that is outside of them so that they can then be appreciated once they return to whatever that is, which there is so much variety in the explanation of that it is quite funny. When their own personal experience defies all of that, you would be hard-pressed to find a human today, and you for sure won't find it in the beasts because they all know it. You would be hard-pressed to find a human today who has not had some experience that lets him know that there's something more going on than is physically explained. Just looking at your earth spinning in its orbit has to get your attention. We offered an analogy the other day, and Esther has repeated it several times since. She liked it so much that you've seen houses that have been abandoned, no one lives in them, and they begin to disintegrate at really a rapid rate in comparison with the house maybe right next door that is inhabited. And it's really not because the gardener and the painters are coming and taking care of it, because there's neglect happening in both houses. It's that there is not attention in the house that is holding it together. There's not vibrational intent. There's not the focused energy. And so we use that analogy to help you to understand that the longevity and well-being of this planet upon which you are living is because all of those of us who have come before, who have gone before, who are living still, who are focused upon it, are holding it in its vibrational alignment, holding it in its place. Because nothing is and remains in its beginning form. Everything is expanding, and focused attention to it is what causes the direction of the expansion of it, you see. And so there is such a collaborative, co-creative thing going on between those who are physically focused and the non-physical counterparts. And when you begin to look for evidence of that, then you will come to understand that it's not that some are non-physical and therefore dead and looking on and contributing, and some are physical and therefore not dead and contributing. It's that there is not so much difference between those of you who are assigning yourself life in your physical bodies and those who have pronounced not living in physical bodies. We are all more in this together than any of you are really understanding until you really want to. And when you really want to, then you begin to understand that you have access to anything that has ever been before. But we want to say this powerful thing to you. What has been before doesn't exist in its what it been before form. It exists now in what it is form, and you have access to what was been before that is in its new now what it is form. Did you get that? In other words, when you have someone that you admire, maybe someone who is a musician, maybe someone who is an artist, maybe someone who is a poet, maybe someone who was an architect, maybe someone who had some powerful skill that you admire, that you want to develop in your own experience. And you say, I would like to receive here in this moment of my question the perspective and knowledge and skill of such a person. We want you to know that that skill has gone far beyond what it was when they reemerged into non-physical, because there is a continual expansion of what goes on because of the likes of those like you. In other words, you are here on this leading edge as the perfect expression of the expansion of the universe, and all that is non-physical is standing by supportively and co-creatively playing with you, you see. Well, we want to give you a sort of hair-blowing back experience. We want the answer to this question to be so big and so full that never again do you ever wonder at least what Abraham thinks and knows and believes and is about all of this. We want you to know that we are that which you would call that non-physical expression of the eternal beingness of that which you are. And if we were standing in your physical shoes, we would take this belief that you know that Abraham holds, and a belief that we are wanting to convey to you, and we would fan the flames of it until it is showing up in your experience on a day-to-day basis in so many emphatic ways that you never again for a moment do not know that you are an extension of source energy, taking source beyond that which it has ever been before. And the co-creative collaborative experience is joyful to all of us, and the joy that we feel is over the moon. The joy that we feel is off the charts. The joy that we feel, the way we revel when insight comes to you should put goosebumps all over your body if you're tuned in, tapped in, turned on. When an idea comes into your mind, boom, it should be an idea of such clarity that you never for a moment doubt the authenticity of it or the ability of it to manifest into something amazing. Because when source gets behind you, and always is, but when you become consciously aware of the source that is behind you, you become the invincible, joyful beings that you were born to be, you see. Yeah, you're eternal.
The major reason I ask that is because one lifetime with my wife just does not seem enough.
We hear you. Well, how about one continuum lifetime? How about no ending to that which that is? How about an eternal relationship that just shows up again and again and again? Yeah. Don't fan the flames of loss. It's uncomfortable to what you really know. Natural, but uncomfortable and unnecessary.